Thank you. Thanks, appreciate that. Coach, once again, congrats on a great season. Didn't get a chance to say that after the game, but congrats on a great season. Just had a couple things, Coach. First, when you have a season like this, and there's a finality for everyone, and only one team wins a championship, so all the other teams are going to end it either not making the playoffs or with a loss. So, but when you have a season like this that was so good, how tough is it to, how tough is that finality that now, okay, guys are going to go separate ways, they're going to do their thing, but that finality of, we worked for 8 months, and then it ends like this.
It is hard, D, and thank you for your compliment. It's unbelievably hard though, just because our expectations are to be the last team standing. And, in a short period of time, we've come a long way. And the process of the expectations have changed so quickly. And, that adds a lot more to the stakes. And so when it ends the way that it ended, doesn't bother me as much, because whether you lose by 1 or 33, the fact is it's over, and it comes to an abrupt end based on where you thought you could have been, and that part is tough. And as I reflected last night and talked to the coaches, talked to my family, as badly as I felt, I had to also reflect on what we've been able to accomplish, not just this year, but over these 3 years. And I wanted to remind the players of that, but also wanted them to, understand that, we accepted the praise when everybody was talking about us and we were winning games and guys were accomplishing things. And now we have to accept this. This is going to help us grow in a way that last year didn't allow for us to grow. Like, these are the adverse times that, help you. But to your point, it is numbing. It is a huge sting to end this way. But it's just part of it. It's part of our journey. We have to accept it and embrace it, and try our best to grow from it.
The last thing I had was, I see obviously a lot of people got questions, but the last thing I had was, when you took Aiden out, I think it was around 8:26 left, and
sure,
it looked like there was some interaction there, and then you didn't put him back in. I respect the fact of you saying it was eternal, but did you and him talk it out after the game? Because it just the way that ended.
Sure.
Yeah.
No, we didn't. And you guys know me well enough. Like, I'm gonna do everything I can to help us win games, and at that point, with the lead where it was, I made a decision to not put him back in the game, and I'll keep all of the internal stuff internal, but it was just a decision that I made. And I also got to a point where I didn't feel like Chris and Book were going to help us on that particular night. But I do understand the question, but no, we haven't talked. I talked to the team today, but I have not talked to DA personally.
All right, next up, we have Kellen Olson with Arizona Sports, followed by Gerald Bourguet.
Hey, Monty, I want to echo Dwayne's congratulations on the season. With a 2-week stretch like this for you guys as a group, you guys obviously want to learn from it and adjust. But in terms of like the radical adjustments that people suggest after exiting like that, obviously you guys don't want to do too much. Your favorite word, adjustments, of course, to come back to that, just how you guys learn from this going forward and take away what you need to without drastically altering too much in the process because of it.
Yeah, I think that it's going to take time to figure out like what those concrete adjustments look like. From game to game, like we made in-game adjustments that helped us, some didn't. That's part of it. When you get to a game 7, like that's both teams are making adjustments to counter to get to that point. Over the overall adjustments, we'll sit down as a staff this year and look at our style of play, and do we need to change anything to fit the playoffs a bit better? We felt like it did help us last year to get where we got. This year, playing against a different team, maybe we need to make some adjustments in how we play or whatever that looks like. But that's always on your mind. Hard to find the concrete answers when you're so close to your last game, but that's something that we will visit, over and over this summer.
Next up, we have Gerald Bourguet with PHNX, followed by Kent Summers.
Hey, Coach, congrats on the season. And just wanted to thank you for always taking the time and putting up with us. But I just wanted to ask, you guys still have this young core with Book and Bridges, DA, Cam Johnson. When you look at this series and kind of the way that they were able to key in on Book and Chris, not maybe being 100%, what do you look at for the younger guys as far as areas where you can improve with the program moving forward?
I just right now, I look at myself and how do I put those guys in a position where they can be more confident when teams are taking away Book and Chris. That was the one thing I'm seeing in the playoffs. When you watch all these games, everybody has 3 or 4 guys maybe that can put the ball down and go get a bucket. And, I'm asking myself over the course of the season that I put those guys in enough positions where they can grow and do that. We thought that we did, but when you look at this past series, maybe not. Were there opportunities for us to, give Mikal, Cam, Landry more opportunities to play in those one-on-one environments? Because in the playoffs, man, everybody knows your plays. You throw the ball around 2, 3, 4 times, and then one guy gets it and he goes and gets a bucket. And I learned that lesson from Kevin Durant after the finals last year. He was like, Coach, look, the playoffs, when you get deep into it, he's like, you got to stop a guy from getting a bucket and you got to go get a bucket. And a lot of the teams have guys that can do that. And I ask myself, like, am I preparing our guys to do that? I think we have guys that can. Mikal, Cam Johnson, what I saw from Landry in the postseason to complement what we have in Book and Chris.
Next up, we have Kent Summers with the Arizona Republic, followed by Dana Scott.
Monty, you referred last night to the inconsistencies over the last couple of weeks, and can you put your finger on that at all? Especially the times where we all kind of looked at it and like, that's not the team that we saw in the regular season.
I could sit here and make some excuses about stuff. I'm not going to do that. I think everybody's somewhat tired this time of the year. I think teams are dealing with bumps and bruises. We just weren't as consistent as we had shown during the regular season. We were the most consistent team. And even in the New Orleans series, we probably weren't at the level that, we had been playing at. But the playoffs will do that to you. Teams will take things away, and, your style of play hopefully can withstand that. But I don't want to make excuses about things that we're all dealing with. We just weren't, as consistent and playing with the Suns basketball force that we had played with. We saw it in stretches, but we just didn't see it enough to, win games on the road and certainly in a game 7.
Next up, we have Dana Scott with the Arizona Republic, followed by Greg Moore.
Coach, I was wondering if you can hear me okay, and congratulations on the season.
Thank you.
I was just wondering about in the game 5, just some of the things that happened with Biyombo, and you said after the game you're trying to win a basketball game here, and the Luka special, things of that nature with Devin. Do you feel like that type of stuff made you cringe and comes back to bite you in the end? Similar to the Lakers in game 3 last year, what they were toying with you with LeBron and some of the things that the banter was going back and forth?
I don't know. I mean, you can make a case for some of that stuff. My charge to our team, and they will tell you that I tell them to just focus on winning and don't get distracted with the antics that can happen in the game. But it happens if you look at every playoff series, there's going to be that stuff. And the teams that can focus on winning and focus on the game typically have more success. But I don't know. We're speculating. If you think that was the reason why you lost a series, at the end of the day, it always comes down to the production on the floor. Can that stuff be a distraction? Yeah, it can be, but it's hard to say if it was.
Next up, we have Greg Moore with the Arizona Republic, followed by Cameron Cox.
Coach, thanks for your time. I don't want to use anybody's name to put you in a bad spot and think about guys in particular. So I'm just going to ask you, generally speaking, if players aren't performing to the level that you'd seen them perform at, maybe they're not as explosive as they were, maybe they aren't knocking down the shots that they typically would hit, but they're the guys that got you there. What is your thought process in relying on those guys versus pulling them, spelling them, giving them, guys off the bench who might be fresh or more of an opportunity? Take me through that thought process, please.
Yeah, it's a hard one. The guys that got you there, you tend to trust them more and you give them a bit more leash, especially your starters or rotation guys. There are moments where you do have that back and forth in your mind. And even when we sit and talk about rotations, do we try to help the guy by giving him a rest, or, do you pull a guy? And I've had to change the rotation where I pulled a couple of guys. But as far as the high minute rotation guys that may or may not struggle, you tend to trust them more. I think every coach probably, at least the ones I've been around, follow that same paradigm. But it does cross your mind at times, especially after the fact. You question a lot of things. But yeah, I do. For me, I do give, the guys who are high minute guys who've been successful, you do give them a bit more leash.
All right, we'll wrap with two final questions here. First, we have Cameron Cox with 12 News, followed by Dwayne Rankin.
Hey, Monty, just want to speak for everybody and say thank you for putting up with this all year. It's been a pleasure. Congrats on the season, Coach. I got two questions for you here. First one is DeAndre Ayton part of this team's long-term future? And then when it comes to Chris Paul, kind of taking a beating among fans today, especially nationally. Patrick Beverley was on national TV today saying he's a traffic cone. Just what can you tell people about how important Chris Paul is and to the success of this team moving forward?
Yeah, DeAndre's situation is something that we'll deal with this summer. I don't want to say anything that in regards to that. James and I are going to have conversations about the team in general. As it relates to Chris, this is one of the reasons why I don't have social media, and I typically don't hear a lot, not because I don't respect what you guys do. I mean, you guys have been around me long enough to know that I respect that all of you have jobs. I also respect the fact that some of the sentiment that is out there about us or Chris doesn't necessarily come from you guys. So when I hear stuff like that, about another player taking a shot at Chris, it doesn't bother me at all. I look at Chris's body of work. I look at everywhere he's been. He's taken the organization to levels that in some cases they've never been before. And Chris's greatest skill is he cares. And when I see people taking shots at him like that, or I hear from you guys, I don't even respond to it. It's not even worth responding. Everybody in this organization, everyone on this team understands how valuable Chris Paul is and how good he is and what he means to us. As a coach, and I probably overdo this, I feel like I rode him too much and may have worn him out, especially in the New Orleans series. If Chris doesn't play as well as he played, we probably don't win that series. But that's what great players do. They win you series. So when I hear some of this stuff, I'm not going to put I could say some things, but we're chasing after other things, bigger things. And so I'm not going to wrestle in that mud. That's not what we're trying to win. And that was my message to the guys, after game 5, like we're trying to win the game. And so to get into all that silliness, it doesn't do any good, in my opinion. Chris is one of the best basketball players in the history of the game. And so you're going to have people taking shots at him that aren't even in that class. Why would I even comment?
All right, and we'll wrap up with Dwayne Rankin.
Thank you, Coach. Looking at Devin, and I know you said also yesterday that maybe you rode Devin too much too, because it just seemed like, he's been getting doubled for years. You know what I mean? Not like it just started last night, and he's found ways to get points. So could you sense early in the game that, he doesn't seem to have that he normally has? And was that concerning even early that he's not, producing the way he usually does in a huge game, particularly the start of a game?
I wasn't too concerned early, just because I thought there would be a little bit of angst and tightness, just because it was a game 7. It was our first as a group. I thought over the course of the game, things would just start to level out a little bit. I thought as a team, when we started to miss a lot of open shots, we missed a number of layups. I thought that messed with us a little bit, and then they were hitting everything. And so I just thought from a team perspective, we were a bit off, but I thought we'd get it back. We just didn't. As it relates to Book, I still have the same sentiment that I had last night. I just put a lot on his plate. Even the game where we were in New Orleans, his first game back, I was only going to play him around 20, at the most 24. I played him 32. That's a lot. And the thing about Book and Chris is that they just don't run. They don't quit. And that was one of the reasons why I took them out when I did, because I knew that they were going to just continue, even though the score was, 30 plus at the time. I just knew those guys weren't going to, stop. And I just had to make a leader's decision to get those guys out. So, we all had the proverbial off night. But I still feel the same way after my emotions have settled a bit. I put a lot on those two, and they carried us most of the year. Last night, we all came up short.
All right, Coach, thanks for the time.
Before I go, man, I just want to, say thank you to all of you guys. I know all of you guys want to see us do well, and we appreciate that. We appreciate the coverage, and you guys have been with me for 3 years. We've accomplished a lot in a short period of time, and you guys have really helped promote Suns basketball, and also want to be able to express that we think about Brittany Griner a ton. And I want our fans to know that even though I haven't spoken about it a lot, we as a staff pray for her and her family a ton. And I just hope that people out there will keep her, even though our season is over and we won't see her symbol on the floor. I pray that people will continue to pray for her, and hopefully she can get out of that country and out of prison here soon. And so thank you guys. And also please keep Brittany in your prayers.
Thanks, Coach.
Thank you.